What's the hot takes?
You kind of have to start before you're ready.
Do you feel like it's better than Genshin?
Don't tell Tecton this now.
Okay, this is getting good.
The story.
I just think it's great.
I rated it about a 9 because literally I'm just having that much fun.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's too much.
That's how I feel, man.
When I did CBT 1 Crownless, I was like, hey, yo. I did CBT 2 Crownless, I was like, hey, yo.
The 4 stars are actually fun and well designed.
Oh, okay.
I love that. I think that is an absolute win.
This looks good.
Hey everybody, Life here. This is the Rovercast. We have some cool, friendly faces in the building today. We have some new guests. We have our good friend, as always, the normal Rovercast, as you've come to know and love. Myself, Life. We have Connor, we have Loba, and we have Zox. But we have 2 new faces today. We have our good friend Legions Gaming. Woo! Yeah!
Thanks for having me.
You guys are supposed to do it with me. Yeah. And we have our other good friend, Vulcan. Thank you so much for coming through, man. That's what I'm talking about.
We need a sound effect, bro. We need the sound effect.
Just put the clap track in the background. You'll be fine.
Yeah. You guys are making Legions feel unwelcome. How dare you? Honestly.
A retake.
Exactly. Honestly, though, thank you guys both for coming. So I think everybody knows who we are by now. Once again, we can all kind of say our names very briefly, and then I would like Legions and then Vulcan to introduce themselves. So my name is Life.
I'm Zox. What's up, everybody?
Loba, here in the flesh.
And Connor.
There we go.
Nice. All right, Legions.
What's going on, guys? Name's Legions. I do a lot of content for Star Rail Holyverse games right now. A lot of anime content too on TikTok. That's probably where I'm pretty much more well known. And I'm going to be doing a lot of Wuthering Waves content when it comes out. So excited to be here.
Yep, and I'm Vulcan. I play just about every gacha game on some sort of channel or something like that. Main one's basically Star Rail at the moment, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you guys both for coming through. So like in typical Rovercast fashion, I've got some questions, and I'm looking forward to you all's answers. So the CBT2 is it's here. It's here. It's been amazing to say the least, in my opinion. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So we'll start with you, Legions. What are your thoughts on the game, and what is your favorite thing about this closed beta 2 beta, whether it's like an improvement from CBT1 or just whatever comes to mind? What are you liking so far?
So far, it's like a 9 out of 10 for me, considering like if I compare it to the last beta. I think they did a lot of improvements compared to the last beta, like a lot, especially the story. You asked what my favorite thing they did in CBT2, probably the changes to the story. Because, man, I am not going to lie, the story in CBT1 was awful. It was so bad. I've never skipped something so fast in my life while playing a gacha game. Yeah, the combat's been improved a lot. The character animations and the details in the characters look a lot better. A lot of different, like the wall running with the jumping over the lip when you get stuck. That was one of my most hated things in Genshin Impact. When I would climb something and then like the little lip or ledge of a rooftop would just cause me to just lose all my stamina and fall because I couldn't climb over it. And this game in Wuthering Waves, you could literally just do a backflip right over.
Huge quality of life increase.
It's something so small, but like I appreciate it so much because I'm like, wow, that was such an annoying thing. I'm glad they added that. But yeah, overall, I'm absolutely loving the beta. I only got to really play day 1 and day 2. I still didn't play for like a day or two. Now I'm gonna get back into it again tonight. I just unlocked like the end game stuff and the harder world difficulty, so I'm excited to get back into it again tonight.
Huge. What about you, Vulcan?
Echoes, man. Holy, they are just, dude, echoes are the best. I love it. It's a lot of people I've heard say like, the game lives and dies on its story. I skipped the story because they said there was going to be a skip button. There was no VA. So I'm like, I'm just going to skip it all. So I didn't even pay attention. And then there was no skip button. And then I was like, we're here now. So I'm just going to click through it anyway. So I don't know story, but people saying that, I think the ecosystem, because there is a lot of if you want to call it similarities to other games that we're already used to, but the defining fact of this ecosystem is so huge for me, both in the fact that it's fun to get them, it's endlessly farmable. There will be a limitation on it for the item you need to unlock substats, but that's another thing. I just think they've nailed it super well. Using them in combat feels so cool. And it's customizable, and I love that. I think that is an absolute win. The system of getting them is fun, and I'm hoping they have like a shiny hunting method where you can try and like increase your rates, kind of like what Pokemon does. That's my dream for it, because I don't want them to mindlessly go kill every mob in the world every day for that shot at a shiny. Yeah, like I want to like the poker radar or something like that. I want one of those methods
like
to be able to do it. But I just think they've absolutely nailed this whole system. And to extend on that, I don't know. Are you guys level 30 yet?
Yes.
Not yet.
I'm right
I'm
there.
about to hit 30.
27
I'm
right
like
now.
literally right there.
Well, you mean like by level 30? Do you mean your characters, or you mean like the world level?
The union
world
level,
level.
yeah.
Okay, now I'm like 22.
Okay. I got to world level 30 last night, and
Dude,
I'm on.
grinding. Wow.
Yeah, I've been sweating super hard. Anyway, Grimro, because me and him, I don't know if you guys know Grimro, he did some Star Rail stuff.
Familiar.
Great bloke. Anyway, we're both in Australia and we're both playing on the Japanese server because it's the closest one. So we both have to play with VPN. We played co-op last night, testing it all out. Dude, co-op is actually good.
Yeah, you guys you
Nice.
can share the echoes with your friends, right?
So Grim had cleared every echo in the world. He jumped on mine and he could still kill the echoes that I hadn't done and get the echoes from them.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
So you can
And you
endlessly
still get them
grind.
too, right? And you can still get them too, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that's the
yes.
cool
And
part.
this is the cool thing. And then if you wanted to farm the bosses, you kill them so fast and you can both get echoes off those bosses. So like trying to get those crit rate main stats is going to be so much easier. And we were only playing with 2 players. You can get up to 4 players in co-op.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the strat, like when the game's actually out, is going to be get 4 of your friends to do or 3 of your friends to do the world stuff, right? Get the echoes and just take turns going through each other's worlds and sharing all the echoes. so you can keep
That's what I
grinding.
told people. I've been saying that for a minute now because I was like, you can endlessly farm echoes because you can go to your friend's world. I did not know. I see Loba got excited too. I didn't know there was a 4-player co-op. That's
Wait,
huge.
there's 4-player?
When you go into the co-op
damn,
menu,
okay.
it shows the person you're trying to join, and then it's got them and then 3 blank spots.
I just assumed because you could only have 3 characters that was fucking.
That's huge news.
I can't test it because there was when me and Grimro got there was only because you can see all players in the world and try and join their party. There was only one other player there when we got there, so we'll try and test that out as well. But yeah,
Rovercast is definitely going to try that. Rovercast is 100%
Hey, if you want to try
trying
that
that.
out later, let me know, Vulcan. I'm down.
Yeah, I'm on JP. I'm on JP server.
Oh,
that's the
right,
killer.
you're on the JP server, yeah.
Wait, so I have a question. So when you're farming an echo in someone else's world, is the drop rate the same? Like or do you guys have different drop rates? Depending on the level, right?
Oh no! So you each, when you kill one echo, you each get an independent roll on. When you kill a mob, you get an independent roll on whether the echo drops.
Oh, okay.
So like we could kill one enemy, I get an echo off that, but I don't get one off the next one, but he gets one.
Gotcha.
So it's completely independent. It's not like you're getting the same echo. Like they're gonna have
Based on
different
your
stats.
terminal. It'll be based on your terminal.
Yeah.
If you have a high level terminal, you'll get the higher drop rates.
And the cool, like we were even going into the point of testing proximity. So I was on the top of the map. He went down and killed the monkey, started the fight, killed the monkey. I then teleported down, walked in, got an echo.
That's awesome. Wait, wow. So you could actually make that way faster.
So the next thing we want to test is, okay, if you do a circuit of these 3 bosses for an hour, I do a circuit of these 3 bosses for an hour, will there be like 10 echoes sitting there at the end that I can just go collect? I feel like they will have it. I feel like they'll have a timer.
You're gonna have them nerf
we
the
can't
game.
post
They're
this
gonna nerf
video
it.
now. We can't post this video now.
They're gonna nerf it, man.
Yeah, but yeah, but definitely my two favorite things so far is the ecosystem, because that's the unique thing in the game. Like a lot of things you've seen has been done before. I do really love combat, but I feel like we can have a combat discussion later on. But echoes and co-op, I was not expecting co-op to be as good as it was. And the other thing is we're both in Australia playing with VPN on a JP server. No lag.
Yeah,
like
but
there
I
was one.
say that there's no lag.
There was one instance. There was one instance in co-op where the boss bugged out. It was like the turtle boss, and he stood up, but then he was back in the ground. That was about it. Oh yeah, and the dragon wing boss thing like just froze and didn't attack and let us insta kill. So that was good. But besides that, like you don't get like you're not missing dodge windows because of latency, which was surprising to me on co-op. Like single player pinging is perfect,
that
but
was
even co-op was good. Yeah, co-op.
You had that lag into because I was gonna say they said that the single player ping doesn't matter because there's no lag in single player, so co-op makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they set up a lot of the tech, I think, to be like client side to avoid any of those kind of issues, especially with like a skill-based game like that. And when you're focusing on the reaction time, having that calculated locally, I think was like a genius decision on their part to completely like circumvent all those issues. Man, I was so hyped when you were saying that potentially 4-player co-op, like even let's say there's not that unlimited echo farming that you were mentioning, but just even the ability to have like 4 people potentially go into a world, each of you gets to solo a boss and have fun soloing a boss. And then, you just like quickly
just teleport to each other,
and you just got 3 echo.
That's huge.
I feel like there's no way they don't nerf that because imagine you just like kill them 10 times and you just go there and there's like 8 or 5 of them just waiting there.
Well, the thing is, you can endlessly farm bosses anyway, which are your crit damage, crit rate, healing. They're your main stats. But like, I don't think it's a matter because the bottleneck on gear is going to be your upgrade materials, because you can't feed your base echoes into other echoes for experience. You have to get that experience. So the experience is one bottleneck. The other bottleneck is the item to unlock the substats. Yep. So I don't think there's an issue with letting people endlessly farm echoes if they want to. And like the way you'll probably end up seeing real sweaty players do it is, okay, I'm going to farm. I'm going to get the right main stat on that echo. Then I'm going to unlock one substat. If that's not my crit rate or my crit damage main stat, I'm just scrapping it. I'm moving on to the next one. Yep. And so you will get those sweaty players that'll do that. I think it adds like a whole nother level that people can play the way they want to play. I think it's pretty good. So I'm hoping they do leave it.
Star Rail had, I wish I could just go around and farm the bosses and get to build my characters. Cause like once you waste your stamina in Star Rail, it's like, okay, that's it. I'm done. 5 minutes. 5 minutes on the game.
100%.
I hate it because I have like 10 4-stars that I want to build for videos, like 4-stars that people don't use, so I can build like niche teams, but I can't because I'm pulling every new 5-star. So I'm wasting all my time farming relics and having really unlucky, runs on relic runs. So I can't even build the characters on time.
Yeah, and that's the illuminated universe again for fun.
Oh god, I'll blow my brains out, dude. They need to add a skip ticket or something. Universe.
One other thing,
what they did with MOC, where like with MOC, if you beat up to like a certain level, everything else is gone. Yeah. Do the same thing in Simulated Universe, to where it's just like maybe we only have to do
and give me all the rewards, man. Like
exactly.
Yeah, the co-op thing, the one last thing I want to mention is like you can join anyone in you can set your visibility. If you have, I'm pretty sure there was an auto join feature, so you could set yourself to like people can auto join you. If that's a thing, so one of my problems is because I'm using the I can't say her name properly, Danjin, I think it is, the 4-star chick who sacrificed her health. I love that character, but I'm trying to farm up Havoc sets, and one of the 3-cost Havoc characters, there is only one of that character in the world. Which I think they need to balance that and fix it. Like, because the wolf is one of the 3 costs and there's heaps of them. This other guy, there's only one, because I did it today, fresh, tracked him, got him, tracked, there's no more. So at least with stuff like that, if there's limited characters, you can then just auto join as many people's world and just like keep trying to get that one that you need. But hopefully they expand on and they make it so there's not 100%. One in the world.
Yeah, I'll say that you just reminded me of one thing that I do kind of not dislike, but I feel like needs to be improved when the game comes out is I feel like there's not enough enemies on the open world. I feel like sometimes I have to go look for them. I'm like, oh my god.
I was thinking the same thing. And so one thing that I noticed, actually, I don't know if it increases with world level. Like maybe with world level it populates more. But one thing I noticed is in the closed beta test 1, there were more enemies because there were they had tacit fields that were kind of like ley lines, right?
Yep. Yeah, they did.
And they were not even just those, but there were also like a lot of enemies populated around those as well. And in some of the areas that I would normally see enemies, I didn't see them anymore. Like right outside of Thunder's,
where we saw Scar, it was like that. There was a tacit field there before, and enemies everywhere. Not anymore.
Yeah, I think the big thing they went for was they were trying to, it looked like they reduced the enemy count for better quality enemies. So the enemies actually drop way better stuff now. Cause like even now it's like for every other echo you kill, you almost get an echo. Whereas like I could have killed 100 echoes in
Discord, but yeah.
And it wouldn't have given me anything either.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Trade materials as well. Like if you need to farm like whatever, like the rings from the exiles or something, like every time you killed one, you were basically guaranteed to get weapon upgrade material drops like almost every single time you killed an enemy. So like there is like kind of that balancing too.
Yeah, I guess it's my question. What would you prefer?
I'd like more enemies just because it makes me feel like I'm doing something personally. I don't know whether it'd be more time consuming, but like at the moment I'm level 16 in my Pokedex, for lack of a better word, because I can't remember what it's called. So I'm level 16. And so the cap on like killing an enemy for it to drop an echo is 20%. But I swear, like bosses, I think are around 60 to 80%.
Yeah,
the bosses drop so much more. Yeah. But yeah, the standard mobs are 20% drop, but as you go up, it increases your chance of getting the higher rarity ones, which I think is good. So now like I'm at 16 and I pretty much get probably, I want to say at about 50% of the time it's gold echoes that I get.
Wow. Okay.
When they drop.
Wait, you're getting gold echoes already at level 30?
Yeah, I'm stacked with golds.
Really good. Okay, that's good.
I got a gold echo at level like 21. Because I'm not that high. I've gotten only one, mind you, only one. But I did get what, Connor? What?
My Star Rail relic is following me then, I guess, because I haven't gone.
I said, okay, life. Okay, you can go screw yourself.
I'd be curious to see if it was like, because I got 3 early echoes where because at Pokedex level 15 is when it says you start getting the gold ones. But I fought 3 enemies that were low level but had this red glow on them. And every time I fought one of them, which was 3 times, they dropped the gold echo. And I don't know what the go is with that, but I don't know whether it's a bug or something like that, but there was. Also, there's a level 120 bear in one area that I keep running into. It keeps tapping me. I'm like, that bear is so annoying.
I tried fighting it. I was telling my chat, I was like, listen, I'm going to treat this like Dark Souls now. And I for like 5 minutes, I didn't get hit, but I did like no damage. I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be possible to do that, guys.
Yeah, I ended up
before it, but the strat was that Rover apparently he's got like a really generous parry window.
Dude, Rover
and so he basically fought it for like an hour just parrying over and over again.
Jesus Christ, what a legend.
Yeah. So if you guys go to the dim forest, right? You know that beautiful purple tree in the dim forest?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got like a little moon thing on it. So if you are looking at it straight on, right? Now technically there's a TP right behind it, so that's probably the easiest way to find it. But do this.
What's a TP, sorry?
Teleporter.
TP for me is toilet paper. I was like, what? I was so good. I'm like, what they do? They put an Easter egg in there?
No, so there's a teleporter. I mean, I don't know, what do you call those? Like a
waypoint or whatever.
Okay, okay, waypoint. So yeah, so there's one of them right behind that tree, right? And if you jump off the ledge toward the tree and go to your left, there's these 3. So do you guys know the little tiny echoes? They have different elements. There's the air one that's whiff waff.
Oh,
Snip Snap is the fire one.
They're the ones that
dance.
Yes. So dude, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I meet people at work.
That's it.
I meet people at work that I see like every week, and I don't even remember their names. Never mind.
I don't know, man.
I caught the echo, and I was like, oh, that's cool, the bear looking thing. And then
so it's like the tiny little ones that dance, right? They're like the smallest echoes of so the tiny ones. Yep. There's an air one, a fire one, and then there's a little ball. The ball is a Tic Tac, and you met that during the Scar Act 2 of the story. That was the little round thing that was like following you in the village.
The thing that had like the girl's voice or whatever, right?
Yeah. So basically, those tiny little echoes. If you go to that tree to the left on the ledge, there's 3 of them like burning with like red and black mist or something like that, and they were all level 100. At first, I was like walking near them, and I was like, "Oh, let me fight these things." I got one tapped. Yeah, like I said, go to the dim forest, that big tree, the little teleporter, and then to the left on the ledge, right beside the tree, you'll see 3 of them. They got the red Chinese. It's like as soon as you see those red Chinese letters, just run. Like it's like in Final Fantasy when you like accidentally go to the wrong thing, and then you walk into a cave and then it like locks off and you can't escape and you're like stuck in a boss fight. That's how it felt.
I don't know how many of you guys are watching Solo Leveling or have read it, but my whole my whole chat was telling me they were like, "This is like Solo Leveling. The name's in red. You gotta run. You're
Exactly.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Has everyone found any shinies yet? I haven't found a single
Nah, I
one.
haven't found one yet.
I wonder if it's in the beta. I haven't seen a single one post anything.
If Vulcan knows, I know.
No, this is what people were telling me when I was streaming. They said that they saw someone else saw a shiny monster, but it didn't drop an echo.
Oh, they gotta fix that. No, they gotta fix that. If a shiny spawns, it has to drop.
If a shiny spawns, you gotta get it. That's heartache. That's
or at least give me a Pokeball or something to throw at it. Like, once a day. Let me guarantee one once a day or something.
What if it was like a thing where it's like for every shiny echo you beat that doesn't give you an echo, you have an increased chance of getting the echo next time? Like kind of like pity, where it's like three shiny echoes guarantees you the echo or something.
If they do that, then
they would need to add that. Probably.
If they do that, then the spawn rate for the shiny needs to be way higher than like whatever it is.
Agree.
Yeah, I mean, if like everyone I've spoken to, no one's seen a shiny yet.
Yeah, I mean
that I know of. Yeah,
it might be union level too. That might play a factor in that.
Or the
actually, that's a good point. Yeah,
union level or the Pokedex thing too.
So I wanna speak a little bit on something that we've been talking about the echoes for a bit. Something that you brought up, Legions, which was really interesting. The story. You said that the story was one of the things that you would just really appreciate about this one more so than the first closed beta test. And one of the things that I noticed about the story myself, because when people ask me as well, I would always tell them at the end of the CBT1 story, I only really had like one question in my mind, and it's what is Scar about to do in the city? Because, you know, it ends with him looking over the city with that girl, and you're just like, okay, what type of nonsense is he about to get into?
That was a weird cliffhanger.
On this one, I have way more questions.
Yep, and way more context.
Far more.
Yeah.
So what are you all's thoughts around, and you can start this, Legions, what about the story do you think that was improved essentially over the CBT1 story?
It was a slower start. I agree. I know a lot of people are complaining about that, but I think they needed to do that because in CBT1 it was so fast. Like Ling Yang gets impaled and dies in CBT1, and they completely changed that. Her name's Ling Yang, right? The girl with the blue that used
Yang. Ling Yang is the tiger boy.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
I was like, wait, I might have missed that.
What's her name?
It's not just you.
What's her name?
Yang.
There you go. Yeah, she gets impaled.
Names.
Me too. She gets impaled, and you know it was so fast. So people were like into it because they're like, "Oh wow, someone's dying already." But then it was just like downhill. Like I was like, "What is this even about?"
Yep.
Like I don't even care about what's going on. I was skipping everything. In CBT2, though, it's a slower start. They kind of build you up. They get you involved in the world. They teach you about the world, what's going on with the tacit fields and everything, the characters. I would like to see more on the characters, though, because I feel like they haven't had enough character building. That's still kind of a little bit too fast. But as soon as Scar comes in, that is where I was like, okay, this is getting good. Because you see her getting like teleported by Scar, and then Scar gives you this whole story about the black sheep. And then, you know, I was like theorizing, I was like, watch, he's the black sheep. And then we fight him and he turns into like a demonic, like black goat. I was like, okay, that's cool as hell. So they are doing a lot better with the story. I don't really know where they're going with it yet. With the whole, you know, the Guardian being, they want to leave it mysterious, right? And leave you with questions. The main character actually feels strong and important in this game, unlike Genshin and Saril.
Yeah.
Did you guys choose male or female?
Female.
I chose female the first closed beta, male this time.
Same.
Yeah, I was male first.
I did the same thing.
The female's got legs for days, so I chose a female.
I don't know. This could be scuff take, but I chose male, but I kind of want to do female because when I watch people play her, I feel like the male feels clunky. Clunkier than she does. I don't know why it is, but I might go female for this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have two accounts.
It also seems like she's more expressive in the cutscenes.
She is. She really is. Like it's. I feel like that's kind of the thing, even down to like the story context. Like they kind of like. So I've read all the stories so far. I've read everything. I voice acted it. Like I was going ham.
Did you guys know that there's Chinese voice acting right in the beta?
I switched it to I switched it to that language
I
too.
put Chinese because I was like, it's better than hearing silence.
I went.
I read it too, though. So I do the bell and the voice.
Yeah, I was in the booth, bro. Like, no, and it's like the concepts they have more concepts that they're messing around with, because even the Rover is like this sense of importance, but there's also this tug of war that you're kind of caught in between. So I think it was like one part where they kind of emphasized that you have an ancestor potentially has a tacit mark on the opposite hand. Yeah. So it's like even that, it's like, okay, what are you doing with that if we're looking at like you're trying to remember or recall certain things about yourself? And it's like, okay, is that doppelganger or is that like, your other half? Like, because even the beginning was like really telling, and how, you're getting sent down by this entity and you don't know who it is. And it's just like, okay, like,
yeah, there's like people that have questions. They don't know if it's like a you're a descendant or that's your ancestor, or if that was actually you. In like a previous life and you were reincarnated. You guys have seen Black Clover, right?
Yeah. I didn't
so the thing I can equate that to is like the Wizard King. You know how the Wizard King was like a statue for like he was a statue for the longest time. He defeated the Demon King and then or the devil, and then he comes back in the story and then saves them again. So I thought.
Oh, I didn't get that far.
Yeah,
I literally stopped with like the Witch Forest or whatever. Like it's probably when it was starting to get good, but like when they went to the forest with the witches,
dude, you have to watch. It's so good.
Okay, I'll catch up.
People crap on Black Clover, but it's honestly the first 12 or something episodes where he just keeps yelling all the time is wicked. After that, it gets so much better, dude.
My friend told me.
I feel like a lot of anime really start rough. Like both Black Clover, I watched the first episode, saw him screaming at Sister Lily. I stopped until my mate forced me to get back into it. One Piece, I tried and I couldn't get into One Piece until
glad that you're
until the live action. Dude, I'm like 700 episodes in. I'm still figuring out. I'm loving it.
Podcast when last week, I was like, yes, he's actually doing it.
But what I wanted to ask you guys is, because like I didn't do the story, but
I know I was thinking this is funny. Like you're just like, oh, I'm learning about the story from you all.
But what I often find is I always play the male MC normally because I feel like it's better for immersion.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that's like it's like similar in this game for that, or do you like just out of your thoughts?
I personally chose male Rover just because I chose a female in CBT1, but when I chose male Rover going into story, I felt like he was like just to get like into the story, I felt like I was a part of it more. And it was, and I'm not a story kind of guy either, but I was really into all the details. I was reading everything, and the writing is just phenomenal. It is so good. It's underrated right now. Gion's Quest was top tier. It was so good.
Oh, dude, Gion's Quest triggered me because there was no skip button. It was so bloody long, and I wasn't paying attention to anything. I was like, this is so annoying.
Okay, but what did you think of the area of his quest? It felt like very like Dark Souls-ish, like Elden Ring-ish.
Yeah,
like,
it was really
the area you teleport to. Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
I think the voice acting. Sorry,
no, you're good, bro. Go ahead, you're good.
I was just gonna say, I think for a lot of people, because I understand, like I get it. You shouldn't have to be somebody who likes reading to enjoy the story. I think when we get voice acting, though, like a good voice actor is gonna be able to bring the script a lot to life.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to help a lot once. Like maybe I'm not faulting anybody for not being interested in the story as of right now. But I'm telling you, once we get the voices, even like some of the audio cues aren't even there yet. So I think when that stuff does come in, it'll actually be much better. And I like why you mentioned One Piece, because I always tell people, I think One Piece, this is an objective statement. One Piece is one of the most popular animes of all time, right?
That's not even objective. That's a fact.
Right. That's not even like, yeah. So because of that, I always tell people it's probably going to take you like 30 episodes to get into One Piece. Like after they go over Reverse Mountain,
Arlong Park. That's where I tell people.
Yeah, like then things start to heat up for you.
Yeah.
And Alabasta was where it really kicked off for me. I was like, oh wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. So, but go ahead, Zox. What you
punches Vivi.
No, I feel like sometimes the expectation, like it is that varying difference that we're seeing between CBT1 and CBT2. For me, like I said, I played with the Mel Rover, the first CBT. And I can kind of see one of the things that a lot of people were like bringing up was like, well, you're playing with a whole female cast now. Like, cause like literally the first like grouping of characters you get is Bajut, you get Cheshire, and you get Yang Yang. And then if it's female Rover, you got 4. So like, where's the dudes at? And I'm like, well, the dude was probably
name.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's exactly what I did, and I was loving it. I'm a coomer, bro. I
Dude,
had the
hey,
female
listen,
character,
I had
I had
no
the whole
problem
female.
with it.
Yes, this is nice. I don't want any of the dudes. You guys can have all the dudes.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting the stupid healer chick in the freaking the lolly. I was like, you know what? This is what I get.
Yeah. Wait, can we just wait? What 5-star did you guys get?
That's the only one I got.
Jian Shin, the Tai Chi.
Dude, you got to say what they do. I don't know the names. The names are too hard for me.
The lolly
chick. You got her as well.
Yeah, I got it.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I've had 2 5-stars. Both her. I just want someone that I can hit things with.
Wait, you got 2 encores? Is that what you're
Wait, was
saying?
that you that
The
posted
pink
that on
hair girl?
Twitter? I saw someone post that on Twitter that they got the healer 5-star both times.
Yeah.
It was Vulcan, actually.
My God.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Brutal.
If that happens to me, I might uninstall the beta. I'm sorry. I swear to
I
God.
got
And I'll be-
real quick. Hold on.
You got who?
I got to brush you guys' bubble. I'm sorry.
I gotta walk away from.
I got after 30 pulls on the beginner banner on my 30th temple.
I heard this over.
I
I got
got
the call.
Ling Yang, and then 2 wishes later on the beginner banner, I got Jian Shin. So Ling Yang is the lion boy. 2 wishes later, I get the Tao Chi girl, and then 31 wishes into Jian's banner, I got Encore, who I actually wanted. So I'm currently sitting with like 3 5 stars. I'm chilling.
Wait, you got 2 5-stars in the beginner banner? I thought you could only get 1.
I thought so too, but literally 2 wishes.
It'd be the same. It'd be the same as Star Rail, where if you get one early, then you're just on rates. You don't get a pity one at the end. Yeah, I'm sitting here playing with Grimro, and the dude's got the Kung Fu shielding chick. He's got the tiger guy. And he's got Jian. And I'm like, this is just not fair. I got 2 copies of the healer. Like, no.
I'm using 4 stars, man.
I'm guaranteed.
I refuse to use the female healer. I don't like lolly characters.
But I feel like that's like I kind of turned that net negative into a positive though, because being able to like show people that you can play through the game with those like base characters is a really good thing, because a lot of people are jumping on I got Jian or I got Jian Shin, I'm about to go crazy with them. And it's like, if you have those lower rarities, like no, they do scale too, and they're actually probably more scalable or easier to scale because they are lower rarities versus the 5-stars. Like you got lucky because you can actually probably do some extra stuff that most people probably can't do with Vermina right now.
Yeah,
if you decide to use her.
Until you have
4
your
stars
whole chat saying, "Oh, imagine not having Jian kicked up."
Yeah, but the 4-stars are actually fun and well designed. What I see at the moment, it feels like the 4-stars have a much higher skill cap than the 5-stars. Like Jian, it's like you do basic, you do skill, you get his ult, and then everything in the entire map gets juggled and so grouped, and it's like you're not even playing the game at that point. But like the 4-stars, like the that you get on day 5 of login, pulled her. Like she's got this really cool mechanic where her meters, like you press and hold, and then it like goes across, and you got to stop it in the right window, and then she'll lunge forward and destroy her ice pillars, and they'll explode. Like I feel like they've done a really good job of character design to make it that it is fun. However,
it's her and Danjin that does that too. That has that, like,
Danjin's cool.
Yeah. Oh,
Danjin's cool with the health extinguish, but the thing is, like, I think it'll be like any of these games. The first 2 months, it'll all be about meta because everyone's under-leveled, doesn't have the best gear, and you're trying to clear stuff, and it's a DPS check, and if you don't have the DPS, doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to clear it. So it'll be like everyone will talk about meta, and then it'll turn into, is this character fun? Because in these games, I feel like playstyle trumps everything once you can clear everything.
Yep. Oh, straight up. Like I pulled Tao Chi. I did some streaming today, like day 4 of it, and I managed to get Tao Chi on Jian's banner. So like I didn't even get the rate up 4-stars. I got Tao Chi, and like she has been so fun to play. Like just for kicks, I leveled her, got her some like decent echoes.
Which one's she? Sorry,
weapon.
Pink
She's the pink-haired mommy with the big boobs.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. The one that has the giant.
She's literally the only great sword user in the game. Only great sword.
Yeah, the only one.
Sword user.
Oh yeah, sorry, he is. Yeah.
And like I was just having fun. Like I didn't care. Like just going in.
Doesn't she have the mechanic when you parry it like gives her a shield or something like that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
hold
so her
that
skill gives you a
charge.
shield and it gives you health. If you hold her heavy attack, it's like hold the charge attack, she goes into a parry stance that just by default deflects the damage.
That's crazy. I need to use her.
But if you use her skill with the shield, you get a healing. The shield actually deflects any additional
heals?
damage.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
does her-
today. What the heck?
I
thought she just shielded on parry. I was like, she seems like she's only good for bosses then, because not every enemy parries, but has the parry thing.
No, but
yeah.
Does she? I was just gonna say, does her shield carry over to other characters when you swap?
Yes.
I need to use her with my 1 health hate chick. Like,
Yeah,
the amount of times.
Yeah, I have to use
The amount of times you're.
Yeah, that's the
yes.
beauty. Yeah, she's actually like one of the strongest characters in the game, in my opinion, because she scales off of defense too. So it's really easy to build her.
Yeah.
And her ultimate is the highest hitting single hit in the entire game. Her ultimate, look at the scaling.
Only 5 stars?
Yeah,
Yes.
single hit. Her ultimate, it's like 800, but it's still strong. It's stupid. You have to remember, since it's a single hit, it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So you don't have like, from a DPS perspective, damage per second, she technically has the highest damage per second out of any character because it's just a really single hit, and then you can move to your 5-star. Yeah, she's busted. She was actually more broken than the CPT one, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
I heard
She was
got nerfed.
100%. She was.
I really like Danjin. Like, I really like that kind of like high risk, high reward, like low HP gameplay.
Yeah,
She
that is
also
the true
reminds me a lot of a
solo
PGR character. She's so much fun. But then now being able to pair her with Tao Chi, who are both Havoc, so you get that benefit. And because Tao Chi scales off defense, all my crappy echoes that I would not put on Danjin because she scales off attack, I just put on Tao Chi. So they synergize literally in kit, in build, in everything that I'm like, man. And they're both 4 stars. So I'm like, heck, I don't even need the 5 stars.
And Tao Chi, her outro skill, if I recall correctly, I'm trying to remember. I think her outro skill buffs skill damage, resonant skill damage. So it actually works really well with Danjin because whenever you do like the attack, that's getting buffed.
Oh, okay.
So
that's good.
Yeah. That's a thing that like a lot of people didn't know. I was talking to somebody on Twitter today, and they were kind of wondering. They're like, "Well, what's the big deal with the elements in the game? It seems like it doesn't matter who you put on which team." And I'm like, little do you know, like it actually does matter who you put on the team beyond just you know who seems to be fun together. They have things in their kit that kind of point them in a particular direction. Basically, real quick, everybody, I want to ask one final question for this part of the podcast. I know a lot of people have been saying a lot of things, and of course, we know that the game is not 100% perfect. But I'm of the firm belief that you kind of have to start before you're ready. Not every single thing is going to be 100% perfect because then nothing will ever happen. And also understanding that we're playing on an old build of the game. The current build that the Devils have in their hands right now, this is the build that was back in like December, probably, maybe even November. But with what you've experienced so far, how soon do you think the game could potentially come out?
If we were going based off of just this and there wasn't like a build ahead, like this was the build, I would say probably like November, because there's like a lot of optimization stuff that needs to be fixed. Obviously, there's no voice acting yet in the game besides Chinese. That takes a lot of time. Translating, localization, all that crap. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's still quite a ways out. I feel like they're going to do another CBT before the game comes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to do one more final one.
I just think that in general, like I said, my impression of the game for the first 4 days, because it's still early honeymoon phase, so obviously it's going to be inflated. I rated it about a 9 because literally I'm just having that much fun with echoes.
Yep.
I'm actually having too much fun where I forgot to go to the gym yesterday, which pissed me off. And then I was angry. Like, oh, dude, I hate it. And then I'm like, do I actually want to play this game if it's going to eat up my whole life like this? I'm like, remember, it's only for the first few days and then you get into the cruisiness. But I think there is like a lot of quote unquote optimization. I was running up some flights of stairs and it's like they had the last step of the flight of stairs too high. And every time I got there, it would get into my wall sprint up for 1 second and then I would level out. Like little things like that. When you're climbing, there is like often little things where it just clunks out. It like a lot of the maneuverability feels like it does need some fine tuning. Like it's not game breaking, but it's just one of those things that when it happens, you like, it just feels like, oh, that's not polished. Like, which is just that one little thing that they give it to you. But I thought, isn't spending available in China? And don't they normally these games normally launch really soon after they have betas with spending?
I believe they're doing the actual like you know how Genshin has like the test that's ahead of the patch, right? And they're testing for the next patch. That's what they're doing in China right now. They have like a technical test that's like NDA, but people are posting leaks everywhere on Twitter and stuff. So
Yeah,
they're
the thing,
already playing like the future build. So.
yeah, basically it's for funding. That's what it like. So essentially, like, because we can technically see the localization prices in the beta. So like I can see like $100 packs in the game right now, right, in USD. But we were told that we're not supposed to purchase anything or anything like that, because I'm assuming that if we do, it might just go to absolute nowhere. We ain't getting it back. So
I don't even think it's possible.
it might not even be possible. But yeah, either way though, they're going to have that. I feel like kind of to what Vulcan was saying, that is probably going to coincide to the expediting of the game, because they have mentioned that they already had a lot of stuff in the works. And it was kind of interesting because unlike any other company I've seen, they told us exactly what was going to be wrong with the game. Like they said a lot of the issues in their like dev note right before they posted the download for the game for the testing. And they were just like, yeah, if you're playing on mobile, it's going to set your phone on fire. If you are,
they literally say like, we know this is not ready.
Yeah, they're like, no voice acting's in here. So
yeah, talking about that on Twitter too. Like they were like, hey, we rushed this out. The official release is going to be so much better. They were doing a lot of damage control before, so I 100% agree.
But I also feel like the way they do that is not like typical damage control. It feels more genuine, their communication.
Yeah, that's a better,
did you watch your live stream, Vulcan, where they talked to Rexlent and stuff about all the like changes that they made since the last CBT? Yeah, that's where I got the vibes. I was like, wow, they're actually just like,
yeah,
I've never seen a company do this before.
And that's the thing about Kuro. They've been that way for like, so it's not like we're seeing anything new. Like they've been like, and that's one thing I would say, like as us being creators, and that's why I've been like trying to push creators. Like, I don't care if you didn't get into beta, put out something, keep pushing, because Kuro's very pro content creator, which I think is a really, really good thing. Where they are trying to, like, Rexlent was just a content creator, right? Yeah. Like, and now the dude basically like works for them. Like, and then you see other people that they have, like Unreal. They have, I think they sent some stuff to 1010, and like they got so many other people that they're like, hey, we want you to do certain things, and like, we like your content or whatever. So I'm hoping that love, after all these things with CBT going to the release, more people get those opportunities, because I think it's a great thing, for content creators especially.
Vulcan, do you share the same sentiment as Legions on a launch time, or do you see it differently?
I have no idea. Like, I don't develop games, but I kind of expect it in the next 3 months, just based on the spending and stuff like that. That's what I think, but I do think they do need to iron some stuff out. But at the end of the day, who knows?
I also hope they launch on China and global at the same time, because I don't want none of that.
Yes, 100%. Oh my god,
nothing ruins a game more.
Yeah, I swear they said they were going to launch.
I'm like not even interested in that game anymore.
Oh, there's a CN version or something?
No, so Blue Protocol was supposed to release like relatively shortly after the Japan version.
Yeah,
like last year. And it's been almost a year now.
Oh yeah, I did hear about
Amazon's handling it. It was supposed to be like the best anime MMO, and Japan hates it, so it's probably not going to be good in the West either. So like, I feel like they gotta launch it at the same time.
Yeah,
fair.
I want to know if I'm the only one that got this. So when I was streaming, I had like around 1K plus if I combine all my things I was streaming on, like TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. Did you guys also receive like a massive amount of people just spamming Genshin clone, Genshin ripoff? This sucks. This is just Genshin.
I'm not popular enough for that, so no.
I can believe it or not.
Did you, Vulcan, when you were streaming yesterday?
No, I just streamed on my alt YouTube channel, so I only had like about 150 in there.
It was so annoying. I was like, I hope this doesn't happen when the game actually launches, because
I didn't even get that.
That's probably will. Let's be honest, it probably will. Yeah. Unfortunately,
I've done it a couple times. I just ignored
that in your bot to block it.
Yeah,
that's true.
I ignored it.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Every time someone types Genshin, it just gets deleted.
I would probably say clone. Like I'm okay if people talk about Genshin, but if they say clone, that's a perfect block word, 100%.
Yeah. To be fair though, there is a lot of copy pasta.
Yeah,
there is. So,
you know what I mean? Like if it wasn't for echoes, I'd be like, yeah, this is like. It's copy paste. It's like, and the thing that gets me is like, it's one of those things because Genshin has like conditioned people so much. It's like all they have to do is say, see, we're 0.8 instead of 0.6 and we have an 80 pity. It's like, you know, you love this. It's like
not a scam.
No, but the weapon banner is guaranteed, though. The weapon banner is guaranteed.
Yeah, it's kind of still the same system, but we're a little bit better.
And you can buy dupes, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing is, I'm gonna have to push back on that.
What? No.
I'm talking about in terms of saying that like it's a lot of copy pasta.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I'm saying there are certain systems that if they're not broke, don't fix it. That's what I'm going to say first of all. So like some people might like, I really don't care if the UI looks similar. Like it's a UI. This is just me personally. I'll be interested for a final question. What you guys think about this? I think the game looks a lot closer to like anime Final Fantasy than it does to actually
like FF14. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Than Genshin.
Especially when I saw Gion's area, I was like, holy crap, this is sick.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like I don't think about Genshin when I play the game, to be honest with you.
The general world feels like more like Tower Fantasy than Genshin, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I've had more people saying that recently instead of Genshin, and they're like, "Wait, I feel like this TOF," and I'm like, "Actually, I didn't even honestly like." I'm like, honestly, people haven't really been comparing them like that, so it hasn't been a thought for me.
It's just such a big game, so it's like, yeah, it's gonna happen, but like, I just personally think that the game has so many other aspects to it. Like I said, if we were to like break it down side by side, most of the things you could compare it to when it comes to Genshin are things you could probably do for just anything in general.
I was just going to say, they're probably those things that if they did change them, it'd be like, why did you change this? Like, we're used to this type of system. You know what I mean? Like your basic UI, your battle pass, your daily quests, your crafting, your essential materials, your trace materials, it's all standard formula.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a philosophy in development, in software development in general, of the idea of like don't reinvent the wheel, because like the question I've had that in chat a few times, a lot of people saying like, oh, they just ripped Genshin's UI, and it's like, well, there are definitely like similarities, but there's also definitely differences. But then the question I always want to come back with is like, what should have been changed to look different? And usually I have never gotten a great answer for that, like, because changing it for the sake of changing it, actually, like you said, Vulcan, I think usually people are like, oh, it's kind of weird how they do it like this. Like, I would have liked it another way. And often it's because they're referencing something else that already exists. So
give the game 1 year, and just like Genshin stopped being compared to Breath of the Wild.
I was about to say, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, it's funny how Genshin fans compare every single game to theirs. But like, exactly, it was literally, I made a video today that I uploaded before I went live with you guys, where it was literally just me comparing Genshin, because everyone was like, oh, this is a Genshin clone. I was like, first of all, this game doesn't have elemental, resonance, right? With the fire and lightning and all that stuff. It has echoes, so it has Pokemon. The combat is more like Sekiro and like Devil May Cry, right? Kind of,
yes.
Right? Like, so there's so much things that are like different from Genshin. I feel like you were saying, Zox, it's closer to TOF than Genshin. And it's just funny to me when like Genshin was literally, I posted like a 3-minute vid of like
copy and paste,
literally the animation side by side. It is the exact, even Noelle's bubble thing is the same exact bubble that they use in one of the powers in Breath of the Wild. So
that's crazy.
That's literally copy and paste.
I started playing Breath of the Wild on stream. Like I'm gonna be playing it after, because I've never played it before. And so I was like, I'm gonna start playing it after the CBT ends.
Genshin?
And Breath of the Wild. Okay,
I was gonna say,
I played Genshin, but I've never played Breath of the Wild. So I was playing Breath of the Wild. I streamed it for like 1 day, and I was like, oh wow, they copied all this from Genshin, huh?
The one thing I'll say is from a viewer's perspective, I understand why people say this looks a lot like Genshin, because the core things that they experience is like everything that they see that they understand. Yes. You don't understand combat until you're playing the combat. It just looks like, okay, this is like Genshin, I'm running around, I'm doing stuff, I'm going into combat, I'm killing stuff, I'm looting. But I think the two things that they tried to differentiate themselves with, they nailed, which is the combat and the gearing system.
And like I said, when they played the game, like I'm telling you guys, Genshin stopped being compared to Breath of the Wild after about a year, right? And I think the same thing
that long, probably like a month.
Oh, okay, well, fair. I didn't play the first.
I played Genshin and made content on it when it first came out. I stopped getting those comments after a couple of weeks.
Okay, awesome. I knew about Genshin, but I forgot about it, and then I remembered about it like a year and a half later, and then I just started like playing it, and I loved it. But literally, like after a little bit, we're gonna get over that. It's going to happen, but we'll be back. We'll be past that phase in no time once the game comes out. But anyway, thank you so much, Legions. Thank you so much, Vulcan, for coming through. I appreciate you guys so much. And look, I want to do this again. Like I said, when we get closer to launch, when the game comes out, we would love to have you guys on to continue this conversation around Wuthering Waves. So can you guys, just do a real quick, sign out, any last words you might want to say, shout out your channel, so forth and so on.
So yeah, that's it. I've got nothing. That's good enough. You go, dude.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys for having me. If anyone wants to check out any of my channels, it's Legions Gaming everywhere. Like I said, gotcha content and anime content on TikTok too. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to follow me on there. Thank you guys for having me. It was nice meeting all of you guys, the people that I just met for the first time today. Yeah, it was nice talking to you. I'm down to do this anytime you guys want to do this again. Just let me know.
Awesome. We would love to have you. Well, thank you. And we're going to see you guys in a couple seconds on the next segment. All right, we're back. So thank you for coming. We have another guest on. I'm pretty sure you all saw him in the thumbnail, but yeah.
Hey,
it's EO. So we already all introduced ourselves, so I'm going to give it to you, EO, to introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll get into this Wuthering Waves CBT2 stuff.
Cool beans. Henshin go, baby. What's good, guys? Yoku here. And I am what do you call those things? The person that runs the podcast. That's me. I'm the guy that's going to be running the podcast today. So we're going to have some topics, which, fun fact, you actually didn't send me the topics, so I don't know what we're talking about today.
Okay, I guess, hey, look, it's been fun, everybody. Thank you. I've been retiring early, it seems. All right.
Hey, one of you text him, tell him to get back here. I don't know the top. You know what? No, I'm gonna run this. All right. So, all right, we have Connor right in my top left. I don't know if it's that way now. We've got Loba in my top right. We got Vulcan right beneath me. And then we've got Zoxus in my bottom right. Okay. And then we have Life coming back in the bottom left. I still don't know what we're talking about, but let's go ahead and break the ice. Okay. Wuthering Waves. How do you guys feel about it so far? What's the hot takes? I don't want to know the easy stuff. I want to know the hot takes, right? Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, so I'm gonna go right into it. Somebody asked me the honest comparison. They're like, "Do you feel like it's better than Genshin?" Because we're just gonna rip that Band-Aid off.
Ooh.
And for me personally, I was like, I played both. I sweated both. I was putting 17 hours a day into Genshin Impact, and I felt like if I was comparing this to 1.0 of Genshin, I'm having way more fun on Wuthering Waves. That's just the honest truth. It just is what it is.
Okay. I like that.
I got a hot take. I got one.
Yeah.
I already think with no voice acting, the story's already better than Genshin.
What?
100%.
Okay, hold on, bro. Don't tell Tecton this now. Yeah, what do you got for me, Vulcan? What do you got?
That's how I feel, man. I just think it's great. They're well written, man. It's just fantastic. And it's just.
How did you feel about the beginning of the story? Because I know that was something that even like myself kind of commented on. It felt a little slower in comparison. Once I got to Scar, that's where I was like, okay, wait, now I'm locked in. Now I'm paying attention, which is not too far away from the beginning, but it's really, I think the intro, being woken up and obviously the booba and the lady and the pretty face and, lively characters. I'm like, I like this. Then I get to the city and I'm like, I'm bored. I don't care about anything happening right now. Then I leave the city. I'm like, wait a minute. Now we're picking stuff up. So that's where I was.
Right. Here's my hot take for right here. Yeah, it's based on what's going on. And actually, we touched on it briefly in the last podcast, but I didn't get to say it. I actually think the story needs a bit of work. It's an improvement. But I'll take the route of there. I think EO touched on it. There are a few pacing points that it needs that. Like in the city specifically, I won't spoil the story, but at one point you're in the research facility and you go from character to character to character to character, and then they're like, "Oh, you got to go to his lab," and I'm like, "Oh, finally, I get to go somewhere else." There's been too much exposition dumping, and then the lab is the room over, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm not actually going anywhere," and then it gets another exposition dump, and then you go back in the room, and then there's 2 more exposition dumps between 2 different characters. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. That's too much. It's because it's good lore. I like the world building and I don't mind it being slower, but that was just that stretch was just nah, that's gotta be reworked. That was too much. I can't.
My hot take is the story doesn't matter. Everyone's talking about the story makes or breaks again, and no, this is my problem. When they said a skip button was going to be in the beta, I'm like, I'm skipping, and then the skip button wasn't there, so I couldn't do it. But yeah, I didn't do the story because I wanted to rush the beta anyway. When the game launches, I say I'll do story, but I know I won't because I want to rush the game when it launches. Like, I will just watch stuff and hear people talk about the story to figure it out. Like I don't think it's the most important thing. I think the most important things are the combat and the ecosystem.
Yeah,
I think all of it matters so much, though.
Yeah. Now I feel like you're falling under that umbrella of the one of two players. Like, so there's, and that is also a cultural thing I'm starting to understand, because even to the story changing in the first place, that was mainly an Eastern push. Like, you didn't really, like, I, for one, as a Western player, I had no idea what was even going on. If I'm being 100% honest, the first playthrough, I was like, yo, Scar just showed up, we fighting, and he did. Like, that's how that kind of happened. But like, going into like this beta, I kind of agree with that. And what makes it so hard for me to be like, was that really necessary? Was the fact that the information they gave in those portions were actually important bits. Cause I read everything. I was like, wait, so this is why this is happening. And that's why, okay. But it was very kind of ran along, but it was still important, which is kind of like trying to find that balance. Is definitely going to be kind of interesting to see how they do that.
Mm-hmm. And adding on to that, I think how I felt about it was just that, especially with what you said, Vulcan, I like story, but it's not as important to me as the gameplay and, you know, the progression and just my overall enjoyment, because that's really the bulk of what I'm doing is playing the game. So that has to be the number one thing that I enjoy out of everything. But, you know, then you're going to get your like starter, right? You get your patches, you get your story updates, things like that. There has to be a certain point or thing in the game that I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to play this. I'm going to enjoy this for a little bit, like a break, right? Because I don't know, maybe Wuthering's in-game loop is going to be so good that I don't have to worry about the story. I can play this game for hours. I can go catch the Pokemon and, you know, look for the shinies for hours. Because I was right there with you. Like Genshin Impact, I was there 8, 10, 12 hours a day without even realizing it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm level 35 now or something like that. Like, wow, how'd you get there so fast? The game just came out. I don't know. Like, I don't turn the game off. I don't know. Yeah. I want that to be Wuthering for me, but I also want it to be, I guess I don't want to blitz through it and then be bored. Or I don't want to blitz through it, get to end game, and like now I'm really starting to feel the stamina grind where I don't have any stamina. I'm forced to maybe spend some money, or all right, now I have to turn the game off and go do something else.
Yeah. Have both of you guys gotten to the event yet?
No.
Like I've gone to it.
Yeah.
The elusive dream thing.
Yeah. I just got to that today. It's actually, it's
wait, what event? Is that the simulated universe thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet. Is it fun?
Bro, it's underrated, I think. Like it has potential. Bro. But the thing is, really, we don't know if it's a permanent event or a temporary event. We don't know. You know, if it's permanent, that's awesome, but we don't really know.
One of the coolest hooks for it is like you pick kind of like a boss echo that gets assigned to your character. And the more you level them up in the roguelike mode, you get to unlock additional combat with them. So instead of it just being like in game, you activate the skill of the boss echo. You actually can start fighting as the boss the more you like level it up. And it's actually like sick. Like being able to actually be crownless for like a full like 10 to 15 seconds. It's like hype as heck. So I was doing that literally today.
Okay, I gotta get to that.
Yeah, it's really
the
good.
one tidbit I'd put on that is remember every game when it's new, all these things are fun, and then you're like it's like simulated universe was fun.
The first game.
Now it's a grind.
Yes.
So it's one of those things. I'm really curious to see what we still find fun in like 6 months.
So the thing is, right? I was kind of contested with this, and I thought about this for a little bit because, like I said, if you could enjoy, you know, Genshin, for example, that much, you have to consider with Wuthering Waves is that there's a lot more depth. They'll learn how to first play their characters, right? Because the character's going to have a lot of depth the first week. Also remembering that the characters do change up a little bit because, you know, once you unlock their traces, if you want to call it, for Star Rail, not to mention obviously sequences, and you can get the wave bands in the shop, so that's not going to be like an impossible thing. Then you're going to learn how to put your characters into a team with other characters. We spoke about that a little bit today on Twitter, actually.
Yeah.
And then the next level, I'm pretty sure Loba knows where I'm going with this. Vulcan and Eo, have you guys seen? There was a clip from China that came out during the first CBT of Jian, Sanhua, and Yang Yang. And they were doing like Devil May Cry levels of combos where they like knock the enemies up, and I promise you, they had those people in the air for like a whole 15 seconds.
You
like,
have
it was
to show me that.
I will.
It's
It's
insane.
crazy.
It's insane.
I want to like.
Isn't that called just use Jiang and use his ultimate and then everything juggles for 10 minutes?
No. I'm talking about like 4 characters in the air height.
It was basically an endless combo.
Yeah,
without like
switching.
the enemy hitting the ground. But it was like, it was so smooth too. It was so smooth, flawless, very clean.
I have to see that.
Yeah, it's insane.
That was one of the things that I'd been, I'm like mentally typing notes without physically typing, and it sucks to do that. But the biggest gripe that I've had with the game so far is the team structure. Like the fact that it feels like, because I got Sephiroth as my first 5-star super grad.
Oh, nice,
dude! Lucky.
Yeah, because everyone else is getting like the healer girl, and
who's that? I don't know names.
Sephiroth is Kakarot, the guy that he looks just like Sephiroth.
With like the spectral image, yeah.
He's got a JoJo stand, so I'm like, this is my guy. So he's super cool for me. I really like his character design a lot, and when I play him, I can blitz through whatever I want. Like, I'm not saying he's OD, but his kit, at least at a base level, is easy enough for me to understand. And if I need to dodge something, I can do it, whatever. The only time I really have an issue is where I guess they resist it, but he also just feels like he does so much damage that I don't have to worry about resistances either. There's never been a point in time when I'm playing the game, even when I'm watching, because Ryu's way further than me. He's like level 30 something now, because he won't turn the game off, but he's been playing the game and I watch him play it too. And it feels like you never have to switch. It's only until he got Leon Young, the lion boy.
Yeah,
he got him as his first, and it was just today he showed me, because he actually started to understand Leon Young's kit, because he did not want him at all. He wanted Sephiroth, so he refused to like, oh man, I hate this character or whatever.
He's good. I love that kid.
He's really good. He understood the resonance system, and he's like, oh, I'm supposed to do like basic into basic skill, and then my resonance move. And like, now they're in the air and I'm doing air combos. So now that he figured that out, I'm like, now figure out how to do that and then add a team member into it. And he's like, I haven't gotten that far yet. And that's where I am. With Genshin, it's so much easier. And I'm not saying like props to Genshin or whatever, but it feels like Wuthering is like slightly afraid to just rip it from Genshin, right? Like, just take the elemental reaction system or something close to that, throw it in Wuthering Waves. Like it has to be a reason for your team structure, your team building to exist in a way that it's easy to pick up for any player.
So let me explain that. Let me explain that for you real quick. So I did that today. It was crazy because I had somebody on stream come into the stream, and they took a moment and they were watching me play Ling Yang, and I had a mono ice team, right? And now, mind you, it's not to say that this is the only way to play that team, but it just worked out that way. And they literally commented. They had been in the stream almost all day. I've been doing like 10-hour streams, and so he was like, "Oh my gosh!" He had like the surprise Pikachu face emote, and he was like, "Oh my gosh! I just realized the purpose behind your team structure. That's so busted." So basically, with Ling Yang, what I do, and I don't know if Ryu's figured this out yet, but playing him with Baisha, which is the green hair girl you get in the beginning, the scientist girl, Baiji, but it's like Baisha, and Sanhua. Those two together are great teammates for Ling Yang. Reason why is because Baisha buffs all damage, right, with her ultimate. But not even just, it's not her ultimate that does it, it's the intro and the outro skill. That's the thing that you guys have to be mindful of. So when you think about like, well, what's the elemental combination type thing? It's not really an elemental combination, but in a way that actually opens it up for more combinations of characters, because it's just their intro and outro skill. So her outro skill buffs all damage. So basically what you would do, and the intricate part of it is, some characters' outro skill only buffs the next character. Yeah. Her outro skill buffs all characters. So because what they'll do is they'll say like, oh, for 14 seconds, or as long as that character doesn't switch out. That's what they say. So essentially what you would do is you use Baisha, use her ult, get her healing, all that stuff. Then you can switch out of her. That'll buff Sanhua. Sanhua does all her stuff. Then her outro skill buffs glacial damage, which is ice. So basically, you get like, I want to say like a 45% damage buff on Ling Yang, who's your main damage dealer, who's getting the buff from Baisha, and he's getting the buff from Sanhua. And then you just go to town, basically.
Does that buff from Baisha have a time limit?
As long as she's healing, basically. I believe is what it said. You can read it, mind you, but I'm pretty sure it's like as long as like there's healing being done to the characters. So
and you can stack that. You can stack that as well with the echo sets, because you got the energy regen and the healing echo set. One of them buffs the entire team for a set amount of time, and the other one buffs the next character. So you could do like the first character in that combo buffs the entire team, the next character buffs the next character, and you're double stacking on those buffs with like another 40% attack.
Okay, so there's some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm not reading this game.
Bro.
Crownless buffs Havoc damage and Liberation damage. And Tao Chi, who's a Havoc character, you would have him as the Echo for Tao Chi, and she has the strongest single hit ultimate in the entire game.
I want her so bad.
So I always, whenever I switch in, I switch from there's somebody, I can't remember who it is. Somebody busts Resonance Liberation damage as well. So I think it might have been, I think it's actually Jian Shen. I think Jian Shen does it. So I switch from Jian Shen to Tao Chi, use Crownless Echo right before, then do Tao Chi's ult nuke. And like, yeah, man, it's there. It's there.
Is this just a me thing? And I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but I kind of wish they adjusted the names.
That's actually valid. That's valid because it's the characters.
And this is like a cultural difference. Obviously, like if you're in CN, all the names make sense to you what they are, whereas they all just sound unsure to me. Like I have so much trouble like knowing which character's which, even though I've played the game for so long because of the names. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Genshin Star Rail did a good job of individualizing characters through names.
Mm-hmm. I get what you mean. I definitely get what you mean. Because like with if we're picking it out from Starl in particular, you have Zila or Sele, and then you also have Asta. No one else in the game is like Asta. The closest thing to Jing Yuan is Jing Liu, but that second part of the name is obviously going to dictate who's different and who's not. And then Yang Xing is Yang Xing, but I definitely understand what you're saying there too. As far as
I had somebody in my comments actually say something similar.
Star Rail's done it really well. That like they usually have. This is where I'll give some Hoyoverse some credit, is usually they have a region or like faction that's like more like a Chinese cultural focus where they have, I'll say, more names that kind of fall into that category. But then in the other factions, like they'll really break away from that. Like the Stellaron Hunters is a perfect example. Like it's Blade, Kafka, Silverwolf, like more localized names that I think are easier to define by. Whereas it seems so far, at least with the characters we've been introduced to in Wuthering Waves, they're all kind of falling into the CN kind of cultural naming convention. So I can definitely see how that connection would happen. I think as like an anime fan myself, where I'm used to kind of like foreign names, I think I do a decent job at differentiating it, but I could see how that would be a problem.
I think that's why they changed, was it Jiuyan to Verena? Because Jiuyan, like, it's like, okay.
And also one reason too, in the story, they were referencing Jue as like a name for something in
it's the Sentinel.
So
it's the Sentinel.
So I was like, oh, they changed her name. They changed her name because of this, because it would have been confusing because her name was originally Jue Yuan and they were using Jue for something else, so it would have been confusing there. But yeah,
I think that's we have to also consider that, similar to, I think you brought up a great point, Connor. Liwei, right? Genshin is China. And I think that Huanglong, which is where we are right now, is China. So it might just be the first batch of characters. Now, I think there's still a point to be made there, though, Vulcan, that it's like perhaps because this is the first batch of characters, maybe making some things a little bit easier to pronounce or a more varied. It's a kind of a balancing tool. Because like I said, when we get new areas, it might be like, more diversified in terms of naming structure. But because this is the first area, so
it's because normally in games, like after like 3 days, like I've got names down pat. This one I am just struggling so hard. Like Gian, that's the banner guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm like, just call the dude Dragon and I'm set, like what's the bad guy's name? Scar. Like that's good. Like I'm good at Scar. I'm gonna remember that guy all the time. I got no issues with that.
I think what Vulcan's also saying too is like, it kind of goes into the argument I've been making, because a lot of people have been asking me about my opinion. And I'm like, well, I'm a sweaty player, but I also have to understand there's a lot of like, I make up probably 10% of the community, right? With the thought process that I normally have, like even down to the beginning, everybody's like, oh, why wasn't that like slapping, why weren't you getting slapped across? And I'm like, they're probably trying to make it like more digestible entry level, like, because that was a big complaint. So even though people are trying to separate like cutscene, for example, from the, the combat, but I'm like, Well, if the complaint was the game felt too aggressive and you felt like it wasn't welcoming, then it would actually kind of make sense for them to try to tone it down some so that those players coming in, it's kind of like goes into that hero complex, right? And so it even goes into like what Vulcan's saying. It's like, you have to, I think it is smart for Kiro to keep in mind that what communities are coming into their games. Like, we can't act like Genshin players aren't coming over here. They're going to be like, Chowcha who? Chowcha what? Jin you what? Who? Like, they're gonna be like, they're gonna go sick on Twitter just and Reddit off of just the names. So I'm like, it does make a lot of sense that they do cater to that, because that is going to be a huge majority of the player base that's going to think that way. Like, they really are.
I wanted to actually circle back to something really quick. I'm sorry. I just, something that EO mentioned about him trying out the Sephiroth character called Charo in English or whatever, but
I was gonna call him Kakarot.
Yeah, Kakarot. Yeah. So you mentioned
I thought it was like Calcaro or something like that.
Yeah, but it was before that. It was Kakarot, and
it was.
Yeah. Now it's Calcaro. I'm like,
you mentioned how you're like, oh, like I was using this character and I felt like this character basically like could solo everything, and I think there's a reason behind certain characters that might be able to solo, because I don't know if you guys have tried the mutation layer area where like you go through like 4 floors of like, it's like end game content kind of stuff.
It's the hollow battle thing.
I tried it. Yeah.
Yeah, the hologram. Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about that is that right now it's a 3-slot team kind of picking on that, and the thing that's crazy is that they have like a point system. So you can't use 3 characters on every single floor. You can,
Loba?
Yeah.
Just for Zox, not the hologram.
This is Memory of Chaos. Tower.
Yeah, tower.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
basically,
Vulcan has all the like he's gonna be able to explain this.
It's basically the Spiral Abyss, but in Spiral Abyss you need 4. You need 4 characters. In this one, the mutation layer, you basically need 2 teams. 3. Yeah, you could do 2, or you could go solo, which is very interesting. So you could save points for the last floor, which is the most
which is smart, 100%. 100%.
So you go like
I really like that
solo,
idea.
Duo, and then the full team
and
on
that's
the end.
not an event, right? That's like the permanent.
No, that's permanent, because they did that in
It's basically
CBT1.
Spiral Abyss.
Yeah,
I
they
love
did
that
that in
idea.
CBT1 as well. They had that.
Yeah,
as well.
I was explaining that to Rihu earlier, because he was mentioning the there's a point system to the relics or the echoes. It's like 10 out of 10 or 12 out of 12, and it goes up, depending on the level. And he's like, man, I can't wait till they get rid of this. And I'm like, actually, I think they should keep it, because that limits you on, what you can build and how you should build it. And quite frankly, you really don't need 444. Like, you don't need the max rarity of everything, because you can't use all the echoes.
And the way that works, the 1 points, because you have to have 1 points in there, they can only be attack, defense, or HP main stat. The 4 points give you your crit rate, crit damage, or healing bonus. And then the 3 stars give you your elemental damages and energy regeneration. So they need to, that's the way they've separated it, but you can do some interesting things where you could do 4/4 and go like double crit damage, and then 1/1/1. Or you could do no 4s and you could get the extra energy regeneration or elemental damage. So their build capacity in the echoes is actually really, really strong.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You guys are teaching me so much right now, bro.
You could double element damage, dude. You could double element damage, which is insane.
I was going to say, I think I did Ling Yang's story quest today, and it doesn't allow you to look at the specific Echo skills and abilities, but you can look at his overall stats. And I think if I looked at it correctly, I think they had him on a double elemental damage on his, even in his story quest. So like, even in the testing or the samples, you get
Dang, that's interesting.
Your standard builds, what I call a standard build, to get a 5-piece bonus. Because if you put 2 of the same Echo, they don't count towards your bonus. So if you put 2 Crownless on, that doesn't count to a 2-piece Havoc. So the standard build that I think is going to be like your general build is going to be a 4 cost, which is your crit damage, crit rate, healing. 2 3s, which can be your elemental, but I think a lot of people will lean into the energy recharge, maybe balance the elemental damage and energy recharge. And then you get 3 1s, which is just going to be your attack, defense, or HP.
Yep. Boga, I'm intrigued to know how you might feel about this since you've done the most echo farming, Pokemon hunting. This man's he's almost completed the national decks. I would say, so for the way my brain goes and like just how I kind of think is like expanding on that, right? Because it's like, obviously there's going to be other regions that come into play. And I'm almost going to assume that there's going to be a possibility that the sets are going to expand with different echoes from different regions. So like, do you feel like that also could lead like with the ecosystem, like even with the cost that we currently have, that's just a parameter for this phase now to like maybe later they might say, hey, you guys can have 20 costs. So that might open it up some to where you might see some more defined like builds and stuff like that. You feel like that might be the direction, or you feel like they're going to try to keep it in that parameter?
I don't think they'll open it up too much because then you just like end up having no one use the one cost because they're only attacking defense HP. Yeah. But the one thing I'll say is like I think you will get interesting builds. For instance, what's the is it Ling Ling or Yang Yang or the blue chick that you start with? What's her name? Yeah. So I love her for her ultimate because as a free-to-play player, if you don't have Jiang or something like that who just free groups everyone up and juggles them, you need to group for doing like trash. Her ult is really good for grouping. So then I'm thinking, screw the having five of them on, run her on 4 3-cost energy regenerations so she's your grouping support. Like I feel like there's a lot of custom builds you can do for characters, and maybe that's not great for boss fights, but for going out and clearing trash in the world, that is super efficient. You swap, group, and then away you go. Love that. So I think they do have good diversity.
You can even change up the relic builds too. Like it's not like they're static to you lock them in and that's it.
Yeah. I got a question. Like, so right now there's a pretty basic set of echo resonances of the Sonata effects of basically all the elements: energy recharge, attack, and healing. What do you think is going to be a good Sonata effect bonus to kind of expand into as the game develops? Like what would be a set that you guys would want to see?
I'd love to see combos. Like the longer your combo goes on, like the bigger the buff gets.
That's sick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How can you, I guess, even asking or getting into that combo aspect, how, as you guys were explaining the Devil May Cry stuff earlier, how does that work? Like, how do you keep an enemy in the air and whatnot?
Explain that. So the way that combo went, and that when I'll show you the video, I would love to like, I want to do a Discord call with you so I can see your reaction to that, because that would be crazy. But basically what happened in that clip was that they used Gian, and if you hold down his charge attack, he does like this little ding, 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 where he like strikes them a couple times. But before that, he brings them up. He lifts them up, cha, 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 and then he can take them back up again. And, he can do his dashes, right? So what they did was they threw him up in the air. They got the dash off. And if you have his first sequence, you can get 2 dashes, right? But they got the first dash off. Then after he does his dash, if you hold the charge attack, he does like a fake lift up. And then you can actually technically attack a second time to then go down. Before going down after the fake lift up, they brought in Yang Yang. And if you look at what Yang Yang does on her forte, she does this little thing where she like goes up in the air, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have Yang Kong, you've seen it, where she like goes up in the air with her forte. They did that while they were all lifted up with Gian. So lifts them up with Yang Yang, then switches back into Gian. He can dash again, then switch back to Yang Yang. She kind of finishes her thing off. Mm-hmm. She's about to bring them down to the ground. Before doing that, they switch into Sanhua. I'm telling you, it gets crazy. They switch into Sanhua, and then both of them kind of come down at the same time. She uses like her skill, her ult. I'm probably even missing some stuff, which is crazy. Like they had them in the air for like a full 10, maybe 15 seconds before they brought them down. And this is just, yeah.
Did you see my Zenless video about like the combos and all that, or no?
I think I did. Because you were talking about like how like certain people have like backstab things.
Yeah, back attacks and things like that.
Yeah, MTash was thinking it was super simple, and you were like, no. And I was like, yeah, I was with you on that.
So there was a thing that I mentioned there, which was switch tech, which is like a whole like Naruto Storm, thing or whatever.
I remember that. Yeah, they have that.
This game has that.
Yes.
Because I was like seeing some things like you mentioned, right? A character could still be out, do their skill, and then come back. But I couldn't figure out. Yeah, I could not figure out the timing for it when I was playing it, and I couldn't figure out maybe like it was just because the characters I was using together or anything like that. But I would try to use Yang Yang. I have no idea what that timing is because I'll use Yang Yang and she'll do her little up skill or whatever, and I'll switch out or I'll use Baiji, and then I'll try and get the Yuton. I'll try and get Yuton to do its little swirl thing. it goes away as soon as I switch, and I'm like, oh, that's not fun.
It's like Encore, for example, right? Encore. Now, this is actually baked in Encore's kit to where she has this little thing where if you hold down her forte, you can switch out of her and she'll stay on the field and like do a nuke. And basically, you can set up a nuke. So, Vulcan, you were talking about this too. Yang Yang is basically like a kind of like a little bit of a black hole character, right? Jian Shin, who is the Tao Chi girl, her ultimate is actually a black hole. Yang Yang would be far easier to do your little energy recharge thing with, but that's just something to consider. But yeah, like you have Jian Shin, for example, you have Tao Chi, you have Encore on the same team. You could suck them all together, do Encore's nuke thing, right? And she'll still be on the field. And then Tao Chi switch her in, and then she can just while they're all sucked up, getting exploded by Encore. Everybody can do the switch tech, basically, is my point.
Yeah.
So that's why I told you. That's why I kept telling you. The first thing is people are going to understand their singular character that they like, or all three characters individually. They'll learn how those characters work by themselves. Then they'll figure out how they can come together, which we talked about the intro and the outro skills, and how the echoes work. Then the next level of improvement is going to be this idea of like, okay, how do I start doing like stupid, crazy combinations of combos? And because we have the echoes, there's an echo that can slow down time. There's a little tiny echo. I think it's the first echo you get in the game when you're opening up. It can do like a slow field. So it's just like the possibilities
play around with that
are endless. In every new area, with every new echo, you just look at those things and you're just like, oh, that's a new ability I'm gonna take. Like there's a stoplight echo. And I don't know if you guys see, it's like a red light, like it's a little dude with a red light thing or whatever.
They're annoying because they're hard to farm because there's only they're only in singles and there's only like 4 or 5 of them around.
And they're standing on the light post.
I was going to say that's what that is, right? Okay.
And they can freeze you, and so like you can use that to, like. And I'm just thinking like maybe like a 5-star version of that. Maybe it can freeze longer. I don't know. But point is, it's just like there's going to be so much diversity, so many opportunities.
And then expanding on that, you're going through the different phases, and then you get to the phase where you're max level and your gear's cracked, and then you just face roll everything and complain about it.
Exactly.
That's when
You've got your games.
That's when you do.
Why is this game so easy?
Oh my god! Come on, where's the challenge? First 2 months, sweat super hard, and then complain for the rest of it.
Oh my gosh!
I just want to ask because I don't know if I've seen all the substats unlocked for the echoes. Like I've only seen like heavy attack damage bonus, basic attack damage bonus. I don't know if there's been other ones. I don't that maybe you've seen because maybe you've unlocked more.
Energy, standard crits. There's what's your skill called? They call it something.
Resonance skill.
Resonance effect.
Resonance skill. There's like resonance, basic, heavy, all the different type of attack damages and stuff. Like honestly, there's a lot of substats.
There is.
So getting your crits is going to be probably
hard.
It's pretty tough. But but yeah,
you start with 150 crit damage, I think, or 170 crit damage off.
Well,
the character.
I forgot what was the standard. It's the multiplier that's added in. So like in Genshin, it says like you'll have 5% crit rate and then 50% crit damage.
Yeah.
So in this game, you technically start off with the same 50% crit damage,
but it reads as 150.
Yeah. So instead of doing like because in Genshin the formula's whatever times 100 or times 1, then times 0.50 that gives you the 50% crit damage. In this game, it's just straight up like it already adds the 100 into your 0.50.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's kind of one. No. Because just to kind of touch on that idea of like the expanding of combat, like that's why I've been like trying to push a lot of people to play with the lower rarities. The gunner Mortefi, the scientist dude.
He's boosted.
So good.
I realized today I was using him, and I'm like, when you use his, I think it's his Resonance Liberation, which is an ultimate. Dude can actually parry with that. Like I straight up was just like,
today too. I know
he could parry with that, right? So I'm like, wait, even these classes like that don't have innate parries in their kit, they have moments where they can actually contribute to that, and then you're getting like in that said moment, you're activating the ult, which then you can swap into a character. Not only are you going to be able to do whatever else you're doing, say you take someone aerial, but every hit you're doing is also sending this dragon flame at the target at the same time. So there's so many ways that you can like. This is going to be so much, and these are 4 stars that you're working with.
And having a ranged character is super helpful. There's nothing that triggers me more than getting those shooting range things, and then I got to go to my team, change my team, use those things. This is just a little one of those little things that shouldn't annoy me, but it's just like it's so triggering. I'm like, okay, those things. When you go to those things, you should have a selected gunner character that when you click that thing, it instantly pulls forward your gunner character to shoot the targets.
I agree with that.
And then it's like time based. So you click it and you're like, oh, I got to swap my team. The timer's running. You swap your team and then you go shoot them. And it's like, oh no.
Mark my words, Mortifi and Tauchi are going to be the 2 most played characters in this entire game.
That's what I'm using right now.
I used them with Encore. Like that was my team. All CBT1 was Encore, Tauchi, and Mortifi. Now, to be fair, Encore got pretty nerfed. She's still a decent character. Don't get me wrong. I think she's super fun to play, but a lot of the utility that she had, and Tauchi got nerfed too. So a lot of the synergy they had isn't as much this time. But regardless, they're still fun to play. But Tauchi and Mortifi, like, especially when he gets sequences.
You're gonna have trouble tearing me away from Danjin. I love that chick, and even as a support, she has 20% damage increase taken for the enemy, and then at E6 she gets 20% increased attack for team after she uses her heavy attack.
Tauchi and Mortifi. I played that team too, and that team has not been touched. I played that team in CBT1. The Encore team got touched. That team still works perfectly because Tauchi can basically make it so with that down Jin doesn't take as much damage like
which one's Tauchi? Sorry,
the pink-haired boomer.
Oh, the cannons. All right, gotcha.
Seriously, like I'm thinking, you're going to be like, I love this. Like Mortifi, Tauchi, and Don Jin. I played that CBT1. It's still great in this one. And I wanted to say something to you, Vulcan. I 100% agree. I found myself playing the 4 stars. I had Gian, and I found myself playing the 4 stars more than I played Gian. And Gian is great, but Donjin, Yang, something like those characters are just so well made, man.
Designed, and I think
feels unique.
Yeah, it's so good. And I think in the current state of the characters we've got, it kind of feels like the 5 stars are the pay to win characters, like because the 4 stars have very unique kits and it's very hard to manage a boss, manage your parries and dodges and still optimally rotate through on the 4 stars. Whereas the 5 stars feel like they're very kung fu chick. The kung fu chick, you basically do a shit, you don't have to worry about anything. Like just hit me, doesn't matter. You got Gian who just juggles everything infinitely and does single target damage AoE. And so like it feels like they are. And it's unfortunate. I'd love to see, and I think in the future they'll get more unique 5 stars. But and once again, this is just through playing tutorials and watching other people because I don't have them. I only have 2 copies of the healer. But it just feels like they are that. It's more simple to play and they deal more damage. So that's where it's at the moment. But the 4 stars are so fun.
You can get 4 stars easier for the 5 stars.
Yeah.
Like I said, the DMC stuff was that one. Gian did that just for clarity. So there is going to be the ability to combo, but I agree that you get value much easier with the 5 stars. But Yin Lin, Yin Lin is good.
Can't wait.
Which one's Yin Lin?
Yin Lin is the
long red hair
chick. The hottest girl in the game, basically.
Yes.
That's the only reason I don't want to pull for
don't summon
Same here. I'm not pulling for Gian.
The schedule is I think going to be halfway through. She comes on her own rate-up banner.
Yeah.
So they did that last CBT. So a lot of people are saving for her banner for the CBT.
Last CBT they did double banners. They did the double banner.
Was it possible to get enough currency to hit Pity with the limited stuff?
They gave us so much currency.
Gave us a lot. They gave us
like a lot, dude.
That's what I was worried about. Like I don't have a lot of currency right now. I think I've only gotten like 110 pull on Gion's banner.
Yeah.
And then I read
at one point during CBT1, I was like, man, I don't have there's like 3 or 4 characters I didn't have. They just send it to you in the mail. Like they just for
they
the
did
test.
that too.
They just gave you the character. Yeah, so they might do
that
this time.
It'll be toward the end.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. I know Zenless did that, but like when Zenless did it, I was already burnt out. The TV mode had, destroyed me. I'd done so much work.
Like after a week and a half.
Well, what made it worse for me was Zenless. All of my, I was supposed to be making videos, and I made some videos, but if you notice, I only made like 2 or 3 of them compared to my whole time was spent trying to get Ellen. Everything I did was grinding to get the currency to get Ellen, and I didn't get her until the very end. Basically, I maxed out both pities. I lost the 50-50, and I had to do every single thing went there. Everybody else is like, oh yeah, I'm level 40, I'm level 45. And I'm like, bro, I'm still like level 30 or something like that because I'm trying to get Ellen. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Zoxus, you mentioned the parry thing earlier with Mortify. So I wanted to ask, because I felt this way and then I read it, and like some of my other friends that were playing the game, they're just like skipping through, right? They don't read the pop-ups or anything like that pops up. Yep. So what I like about the parry system, and correct me if I'm wrong, every character, every enemy can't be parried the same way. So I can't like basic attack, everything. And one of the characters that I first noticed that was we all made it to the Inferno Rider, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got there on accident. I wasn't supposed to be there. But I made it to Inferno Rider, and before I fought him, I just happened to press the H button and read it. And it said that in order to parry him, you had to hit him with your Q, the echo. And it had to be like, I guess, a heavy echo or something like that. Otherwise, you just weren't going to parry him. So I was like, oh, okay, that's really weird. Why would they make a parry system and I can't parry the way they taught me how to parry? And I was doing it. I was basic attacking. He was just spear, motorcycle. Yeah, and I said, okay, you know what? Let me read and see what they actually said. Dude, and as soon as I clicked Q,
I didn't know that. I skipped all that.
Yeah, bro, I hit Q and I sent the little shoulder guy out. Parry. I was like, oh. It works like that. I was like, all right, parry system's great now.
I recommend everybody take the time to do like, it was funny because today I was playing and every character has a tutorial button at the bottom of their screen. And one of the things that I noticed is that like you don't really learn the characters right away, like because even down to like, okay, I think I know what the character does, and I'm sitting there spitting. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm too good at this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need no tutorial. This is what I do for a living. And then chat's like, go to tutorial. I'm using Tao Chi, and then I realized if you hold her E, it would allow her to activate the parry without parrying. So
yeah, automatically.
So you could like I was just like, whoa, okay.
Wait. Is that how the scorpion works? The Echo Scorpion? Because I had this scorpion and like it gives you parry, and I just tap it, I turn it into a scorpion, and then I'm out. I'm like, do I have to like perfectly time this? Maybe it's a hold thing.
You have to keep hitting it. So Inferno Rider, when you get him, you have to keep hitting E. Otherwise, but that's the beauty though, is that you can decide, because what happens is when you summon an Echo, you can get stuck in the Echo and get killed, right? Like after a certain amount of chains, it will kill you. So with his first slash, when you summon him, you can use that first slash to parry something. But like say you have more time, you can go for the extra slash, and he sends down like a flame.
He sends his bike all the way down.
I didn't know these things. I'm playing the game tonight.
Bro, he's like,
I cannot tell you how many times playing Danjin, because you're playing low HP gaming with Danjin.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'll trigger Crownless, which goes into his combo, and then you just get like one tap. Like, sakes, because like I'm in my mind, I still think Crownless should be
with the Echo, or like it's auto one tap.
Triggers.
So when you go into
or a combo.
Yeah, when you go into the Echo that you transform into, you get CC immunity, but you take any damage.
Yep.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah. Whereas when you ult, you get complete invulnerability.
Unless you switch out on time, you could switch out of the Echo. There's like a early switch,
like an iframe.
Yeah, you could take that. You could use that to your advantage. You switch out to another character to completely avoid the damage too. You can do that as well.
Okay. Oh yeah, I love technicality in my games, bro.
Because the Crownless is the same way. What Zox was saying, you can hit the button one time and just get that one hit, or you can keep hitting the button and get like a whole Echo combo, basically, or like a whole 3-hit thing.
Yeah. So, now, are there strings to that, like timing wise, or is it just mash it and it'll come out?
I think it's just mash.
Well, I think it's mash, but I'd have to check that. I'm not sure.
For Crownless specifically, when you trigger the Echo, I noticed that if you spam like E or Q, I forgot which one it was. If you spam it, it cancels it. Right, so or you could trigger it with your keyboard and then click on the mouse.
Yeah, you click on the mouse combo.
Yeah,
okay.
But you might be able to slow it down. I think it's kind of what you're talking about, like to stagger some of the hits to where you can like time the combos.
Or you could stop it at a certain time. Like if I want to hit it at the second hit, I can, and then stop. And then continue.
Yeah.
Whereas I think something like the monkey, when you press the monkey, it's just kick, jump, follow up. Like there's no control over it. So it's differing on different ones.
Yeah, it's like some echoes. I think like Tempest Mephis, when you summon him, he actually does like this flip lightning bolt, but then he has another slash after that you can't control. So it's just one press for him. But you know, if you press the lightning bolt, you got to do that early before the parry's actually coming, because then he has a slash that he does that you get the parry moment from. But it's like you're kind of stuck in that. So it's like every echo is so different and unique in that way. It's like that's why it's like even expansions of bosses are going to be nuts when they start getting.
This is like, Dark Souls. I'm a fan right now, bro. Like y'all talking about, I hope you make content. All you had to do is tell me the parry system and combo or the combat were more unique than any other gacha game.
100 by far.
I literally yesterday, because I just skipped everything. Like, I didn't read any text. I'm the guy who goes through and plays the game, and then I'll go back and read through the tutorial stuff. And I sat there for 20 minutes with chat teaching me how to parry. I was like, I get that there's this gold ring, but like I didn't get how it functions. Like, no, you got two that then have to match up, and that's when you press it. And I was fighting the boss, the guy who starts it at range. And so the guy starts at range. I'm like, wait, is this a parry? I'm like, parry is clashing an attack with an attack, but his ring happens when he's like on the other side of the field. But then it's because it's such a fast lunge. And I was so confused by it. But then once you figure it out, it's like, okay, now I get
the really fun part about all of that too is because like as a Sora character, and I have to switch it after this, but as a Sora character, it's very easy to parry. When you start trying to play with like great Sora characters, Gauntlet characters, Oralator characters, which is like a Catalyst type character, basically Encore and Yin Lin, you basically have to learn parry windows for each character you're playing as. So it's just
it's hard.
It's a lot.
But
I'm curious to see what turns out to be better, parrying or just dodging, and then continuing your rotation.
Parrying seems to be better so far because that stamina bar they have, it destroys toughness of a lot of bosses. And I find the Greatsword has had a really player friendly like parry window, at least when I've been using like Tao Chi, especially because her hold attack it does a counter. And with Crownless, for example, I found that the counter that her hold skill does perfectly times into a parry on his next if he's in a combo. So it makes like Crownless so
that's just something you have to learn.
Boom. And that's why I love it. Absolutely love seeing like all the little intricacies there.
So I have one last question real quick. When we started this, EO asked everybody a question. And so I want to get your hot take before we finish this segment. What is your hot take on Wuthering Waves?
Okay. So, I mean, I have a couple, but the one big one I think we kind of addressed without me even needing to say it, because you guys all answered it. But maybe I still feel that way, though. I would love if they took the elemental reaction system from Genshin and threw it into Wuthering Waves or something of the equivalent. My hot take in a general statement is that I think Wuthering Waves' biggest strengths are its biggest weakness. The idea or the concept that like I want to be so unique and different, but also compete with what would be the Titan right now, Genshin Impact. But I don't want to copy bar for bar. Like I don't want to be a carbon copy of what they have. That's their biggest weakness, is that they're afraid, or at least it feels they're afraid, to take things from them when you've already taken so much. The UI looks very similar. Granted, it's a mixture of Tower Fantasy and Genshin Impact, but still, the UI looks very similar. The way that the stat screen looks, the Eidolon system is pretty similar to how Genshin functions. Although I will say, I love that we don't have useless, they're called sequences in this game, right? I love that we don't have useless ones. There's no E2 gives you +3 skill points or whatever. No, every single one has a specific purpose that gives you a specific thing that makes it so like, hey, I have E3. I didn't waste, or I didn't get a waste. I
think there's some bugs in those as well, because like one of them has like +3% attack, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And Eidolon gives 3% attack. Like that cannot be right.
Be 30%.
Yeah, and then there's some characters that like talk about giving them damage bonus of a different type of damage to what they deal, and I'm like, I think there's a lot of bugs in there as well. So I just want to put that in.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that too, for sure. So like a lot of what Wuthering is doing right now is great, especially after you guys explain the intricacies of the combat system, how combos could work potentially between different characters. Every character is unique. The parry system, stuff that I didn't even know about. I love all that. But adding in more to the team aspect, right? Where now I can, even if it wasn't elements or reactions per se, just, something that I could do, like maybe, okay, Tao Chi does her parry. And now that she has her parry, when you parry with Tao Chi using her skill, like the hold skill, you also have an opportunity to switch out like immediately an intro skill, right? Or she gets her own outro skill from the parry and you get an intro skill on top of that, similar to how Honkai Impact 3rd has it, where I think in this game, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, there isn't really a signature trigger to someone's intro or outro skill. It just kind of happens from a parry, or is there a signature?
No.
To them?
So you have on the left-hand side of your health bar, you have a little orb. And once that gets the full ring around it, that means you're in intro outro mode for that character. And when you get that shing, and then you can swap and get the outro skill for that character, intro skill for the other one. Then they've got to independently build up their bar to get that one.
And the intro and the outro skill themselves come with buffs. That's why I was talking with the Ling Yang thing, where Baisha, when you get that bar filled up, now the next person she switches into is getting all damage buff. And then same thing, you do that again with Sanhua. The next person she switches into is getting glacial damage times 30%. And that's what we were saying. Like the intro and the outro skill is essentially the elemental reaction system. It's not but like I said, I think in some ways you could even say it might be better, because unlike Genshin, for example, if I switch from an ice character to a Geo character, that does nothing. I mean, I guess you get crystallized, but you get my point. Like there's no reactions with like Anemo and Geo, but in this game, every single character is going to be able to benefit. You won't have that issue, is my point. So
I think
do you feel like they should like because I feel like I think where you're going with this is kind of like in Genshin, it's a little bit more obvious that you're doing certain things. Like, you know, when you freeze someone, you froze them. Like you see the elemental reactions happening right in front of you. And it's like this it is a visually appealing thing that it's kind of like a reward in a sense. Like, I just got that thing to happen.
I agree with that.
So like, is that like what you're kind of looking at in that way? Like,
exactly. Like if I, for instance, and that's why I say it doesn't need to be specifically elemental reactions like water and then plus highest it'll freeze, but more so, you know, with playing with Kakarot, I play Kakarot and maybe like when I summon Jojo Stan and we double slash you, it paralyzes you for at least 3 seconds or 2 seconds, right? And I can visibly see the enemy is like, gah, 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 you know what I mean? So it's like, it's some stuff like that is visually appealing, as you said, but it also, it adds into how I could build this team, when I can switch out who does what, and going into the intro and outro skills. I think that those specific points would be great for signature intro and outro skills. So like, it's guaranteed, even my bar's not filled up, if I do this instance, it's guaranteed to give me the opportunity to intro or intro outro in, similar to how Honkai Impact is.
I've been playing too much Black Clover Mobile, but like combo skills. So like if these two specific characters are teamed together and you go from one into the other, they do like a completely separate like combo because they have their, because at the moment, the one thing I'll say about intro and outro, they do add to the experience of like switching feels good, because you know you get, but like none of them feel impactful, not as in the effect of them, but is in the appearance of them. Like any intro outro skill you do, there's nothing that looks flashy, nothing. It's just like, okay, I've got to remember I've got that passive buff now, or this character switches in, I'm getting this buff. You know what I mean? There's nothing that feels impactful. It's a good system, but just present it better. It's kind of like the audio in combat. Like I feel like they could amplify the audio experience. Like if you're playing in competitive games, I always talk about like World of Warcraft. I used to play with sound off because I didn't want any distractions, but this is more of an immersive game. So I want to have more sound cues. Like if I do a big attack, make it sound like a big attack, that sort of stuff.
100%
I want to jump off that for real quick, because I think like EO struck on something really good there with the elemental reactions. Like right now, the only thing, it all boils down to this. Elemental reactions only matter to buffing other characters of the same element. And then there are some enemies that are either resistant or immune to the element. That's really the only, like when you boil it down, that's really the only effect that it has. So yeah, I would like to see more of a value, a visual feedback, like you guys were saying, that would really make that more worthwhile, other than just like those core passives. And my hot take too, Vulcan actually already started to touch on it. Sorry, you're below me on my screen. I don't know where you actually are in the layout here.
Over here.
Is that the feedback on those big chunky hits was my first piece of feedback. I wanted, like, Honkai Star Rail has it where there's the impact frames. Like when it flashes black and white really quickly, when you're having those big hits on those signatures, I want to feel like I'm having that chunky hit, like I've done something substantial. There's not quite that feedback on it. That's my biggest thing that would really
CBT1 had that, and they took
CBT1 did.
The guns sound like pea shooters right now, and I was just like, they need to everybody was like, return that ding that used to happen when you hit a parry, for example. Now I do need to correct you on one thing though, Connor. It is not only elementals of the same damage that gets buffed with the intro and outro skill. Just for clarity.
No. I'm not saying intro and outro. I'm saying the value of the elements themselves. Really, they only serve to boost other characters of the same elemental damage type. Some enemies are either immune or resistant to it.
Yeah, okay, that's what you're saying.
Like, unless somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I can tell, there's no elemental reaction of a fire character is going to burn the toughness of an ice enemy down fast.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Even something like that that adds a purpose for using those characters in different environments would make sense. But it only serves to, this is our way of kind of like isolating character teams because they buff each other more so than if you were splitting characters up.
Like if there was a fire and water, a fire and ice type character, instead of doing the whole like melt comp thing where it's like, you just have, melt damage or whatever. What if you had an actual, like a status element, right? Like if you had an actual status element applied to that where, hey, I hit you with this fire and then now I'm dousing you off, you might move a little slower, or your HP ticks down like a DOT, something, anything like that, or your shield ticks down.
There actually is, hold on, let me think. There is actually the fact that Encore has an ability. I was looking in her traces because they took so much stuff away from her, sadly. But one thing that she does have, I don't know if it was in her sequences or in her traces, she actually has this thing where she will put like a DOT on the floor. Like, I don't know if it's in her traces or her sequences, but they said like it's like a fire pit that'll be on the floor and it'll actually cause like damage over time. Just as a little interesting thing that I saw.
I like that.
Thank you again so much, EO, and so much Vulcan for joining us for 2 segments of the podcast. Thank you so much. I want to just give you guys a quick opportunity to just, say your piece, shout out your channel, and So you can go first, EO.
All right, cool beans. Thank you for having me on. That's number one. And then number two, dang, I suck at doing all this, bro. EOverse, if you type in like at EOverse, it'll pull up and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm pretty sure I'll be linked in the YouTube video down below. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter if you want to. It's IYOKUU. Probably advise you don't do that because I make some really wild and outlandish takes. But we have a good time. That's the most important part, right? We have a good time, okay? But yeah, it's cool. And then follow me on Twitch. I stream. I want partner because checkmark equals money bags, and I don't have that yet.
Just thanks for having me. It's a good time. I love anything like this, just being able to chat and basically just spew things off and get different people's opinions. So I love this type of stuff. So just thanks. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for both of you guys. And for everybody watching, we'll see you in a brief moment on the next section.
Wait, don't move. Put your hands up. Okay, seriously. This is a very long podcast. As you can probably see from the thumbnail, it said 5-1. Meaning there's a 5-2. And I just want you all to know that we split it up into 2 parts. The second part should be coming out very soon. Honestly, it'll probably be out tomorrow. So hope you guys are looking forward to that. Thank you all so much if you got it to the end of the video. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next one. So, peace.